There's one big thing in shooting sports that I haven't yet shown on the channel. I'm talking about rimfire action. Gavin here from ultimatereloader.com. Over the coming years, I'm going to go deep on a variety of topics related to rimfire, and we're going to kick it off with this video. In this box is the all-new Bergara B14-R trainer. It's a full-size rifle, but you can shoot 22 long rifle ammunition. It's got a full-size Remington 700 footprint receiver. It's got compatibility with a variety of Remington 700 add-ons and accessories and parts like popular triggers. This is going to enable me to take my action to the next game and introduce people to precision rifle in a very unassuming, unintimidating way. So, in this video, we're going to get the B14-R out of the box. We're going to take a complete tour of it. We're going to take it to the range and get it sighted in, test it with a variety of ammunition, and then in future videos, I've been working with Seth Gardner from DM Targets. He's got a whole bunch of cool rimfire stuff, including a KYL rack and a mover and a whole variety of different targets. This stuff is super fun. So the story will go on with a whole bunch of additional scenarios and training and so on and so forth. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications. Let's get this rifle out of the box and see what this B14-R comes with. So of course, we've got the rifle itself. We've got some printed material. We've got a scope-based shim that's going to allow us to get a little bit of extra elevation. We've got the bolt, which comes in this bag. And then we've got a magazine. These are AICS pattern magazines. And what's great about this is this rifle actually shares the same bottom metal with the Bergara HMR series rifles. So this is a true-to-life scenario, and everything down to the handling of the magazines is going to be pretty much exactly what you're going to have with your other precision rifles. I've got a second magazine here. One comes with the rifle. I thought it'd be good to have two. This is absolutely gorgeous. The quality is immediately evident. I've got the carbon barrel here. That is kind of the enhanced model, if you will. Let's put a bipod on this so that we can really take a look at it. I'm going to put this in the forward position. So there's two swivel studs. And this is the same bipod, Harris SBRM, that I'm using on a lot of my other rifles. So I've got a completely familiar user interface for training, that kind of thing. And then the bolt, very nice. 2.5 to 4.5 pound adjustable trigger. This is awesome. So what I want to do next is give you kind of a detailed overview and tour of the entire rifle, then we'll get it set up to shoot. Let's start our detailed tour by taking a look at the heart of the gun, the barreled action. I'm just going to pop off these action screws so we can take the barreled action out of the stock and see this barreled action kind of from every angle. Okay, so first thing is the bottom metal. This bottom metal is pretty much the same as on other HMR rifles. It's got the AICS magwell. It's got the fingertip actuated magazine catch, which I absolutely love because I have that on my other comp guns. This is going to be a theme you're going to hear me say again and again, just like I have on my other comp guns, which is exactly what you want in a trainer. Okay, so we've got the barreled action. This, again, is Remington 700 footprint, but with a wider recoil lug than what you'll find on factory Remington 700 actions. So the good news there is that's just like a lot of the custom Remington 700 semi-clone actions. A lot of them have wider recoil lugs, and a lot of the stocks have inletting to accommodate this form factor. I talked to Bergara. They said that they've tested this with multiple aftermarket Remington 700 stocks with no issues at all. Same with triggers. If I'm running a Trigger Tech Diamond in my comp gun and I want to run a Trigger Tech Diamond here with this B14-R, not a problem. Pop the pins, pop it in, and good to go. We've also got the external bolt release, just where I have it on my other comp guns, you guessed it. So again, you're going to go through all of these different procedures and processes to develop muscle memory. Everything's where it should be. I've got the same bipod, potentially the same trigger. I've got the same bolt release. I've got the same profile of bolt handle. Everything is full size. That's exactly what I'm looking for in a trainer. This rifle comes with a 30 MOA rail. So if you're familiar with centerfire guns that are intended for use at 1,000 yards beyond, you probably have something like a 20 MOA rail. It helps you get more vertical elevation adjustment and compensation. For rimfire, people are now pushing these babies out to 200, 300 yards, and you really start to run out of that dial for your elevation, and a 30 MOA rail is going to help with that tremendously. So for the barrel, we've got an 18-inch 4140 chromoly 1/16 twist barrel with 6 grooves, and then we've got this carbon that increases the stiffness. On the muzzle end, it's threaded. It comes with this really nice thread protector. This is threaded 1/2-28. So if you have a brake or if you have a suppressor that you're using with something like an AR-15, that's going to screw right onto the end. I just looked in the gun safe and I have some fixed mount caps for my Omega 300 and my hybrid for 1/2-28, so I'm going to be able to convert those over for use with this platform. Or you could use a step up to get this up to 5/8 24. Whatever you prefer doing. If you're using a 30 cal can with 22, you've got plenty of flexibility there in terms of tolerances. So very, very nice barreled action. Let's next take a look at the stock itself. The stock is a full-size Bergara HMR stock. That's the hunting and match rifle platform, which is a really great trade-off between being targeted at scenarios like hunting and scenarios like PRS competition. You can really use them for both. As I already mentioned, there's 2 swivel studs here for mounting a bipod. We've got QD cups here for a sling, and we've got those on both sides, which is super nice. We've got the adjustable cheek riser, which is great because that's going to get our cheek weld dialed in depending on our scope height and the ergonomics of how we interface with the rifle. And we've got a vertical-ish grip. It's not 100% vertical, but it's close to it. So these are the features that I'm looking for. We've also got spacers for adjustable length of pull. We've got a generous rubber butt pad. We've also got this swivel stud here in the back that we could take out if we wanted to use this as a bag rider. So for a trainer, I think this is absolutely an outstanding package. And as you can see, this rifle goes together very easily. And we can fine-tune it to the exact specifications that we're going to want to train with, or we're going to want to shoot with. And we can quickly adjust it to other shooters, like the adjustable length of pull, for instance, is going to be a great feature for that. I'm just going to set that action against the recoil lug. We'll torque our action screws. Put in our bolt. Insert the mag. You can see this actual internal box mag for the 22 goes kind of in the forward position. Awesome. So let's do a couple things next. First, let's put this on the trigger scan and see how the trigger is going to look like at the minimum pull weight, which is what I'm going to run this at. Then we'll get an optic on it, then we'll get it out to the range. So what we've got here is the Trigger Scan TS11 from Dvorak Instruments. This device will create a very precise force distance profile graph so that we can evaluate different metrics around the trigger and look at the overall quality of the trigger action. So I'm going to cycle the bolt, just the cocking portion. I've got a test created here. We're going to arm the unit. And when we do so, this motorized load cell goes through the trigger pull sequence, and there we've got our force graph. So let's run this a few times. I'm just going to recock the bolt there, create another test. Very good consistency. One more time. I like to get 3 good superimposed graphs. There we go. That looks really good. And this is going to tell us a few things. It looks like peak force is just a little bit over 2 pounds, about 2.05, something like that. And I adjusted the adjustment screw on the trigger pull adjustment range all the way out, basically. So this is the absolute minimum. It's advertised as 2.5 to 4.5, but it looks like it'll go a little bit lower, which I like. We can see how consistent the trigger pull is because the lines are almost completely superimposed. We had about 30 thousandths travel to actuate and just under 60 thousandths an inch of over travel. So this looks like a really good trigger pull. Of course, when we mount an optic and take it out to the range and actually fire it, we'll get the full picture. Well, here it is, the complete rifle, accessorized, ready to take to the range. The first thing I did was to take the Athlon Midas Tac 6-24x50 first focal plane rifle scope from my 6mm Creedmoor rifle, 6 Creed UR, the Howa 1500 Bravo. You've seen that on the channel recently. I've been using it a lot recently. I thought this would be a great scope to put on this rifle since I'm so familiar with it. It's got the MK Machine throw lever. It's got the Lone Star bubble level. I've got that all dialed in. And then I also put the half 28 direct thread mount on my Omega 300 from Silencer Co. So that's screwed right onto the end, and this should be a great package for evaluating and testing both the rifle and some SK and Lapua ammo. I'm going to try it with and without the suppressor, and I'm planning to put up a target at 50 yards for the evaluation of this rifle. Let's get to it. So I'm up here at the Ultimate Reloader Ridgetop shooting range. It's a beautiful day. I thought this would be a great opportunity to put in a 50-yard backstop here at my 100-yard range. Why? Because for my rimfire testing, all of the accuracy testing is going to be primarily done, and my zeroing is going to be done at 50 yards. And what I've found is, if you take a particular result for center fire accuracy testing, let's call it half MOA, is good. For a rimfire rifle, if you can do that same result at 50 yards, that is pretty much equivalent in terms of the spectrum of accuracy. And my goal was to put a few different types of ammo through this testing process with the Bergara B14-R. We've got SK Standard Plus, SK Match, Lapua Midas Plus, and Lapua Center X. This is premium rimfire ammunition, and let me tell you, this rifle shoots absolutely awesome with that type of ammunition. And some of the results that I got were pretty amazing, really. What I found was, with each type of ammo, pretty consistently, things were able to hit about 0.3 to 0.35 inches. And it kind of depended on the mirage that was going on and stuff like that. But just to read off a few groups, if you click on that first link in the video description, I'll have all the accuracy information. I did suppressed and unsuppressed. So Lapua Center X suppressed 0.307 for 5 shots. Look at that nice clover leaf there. SK Match unsuppressed 0.443, had a little bit of mirage for that one. SK Match unsuppressed 0.348 inches. The best group that I got was with the SK Match, and that was 5 shots into 0.220 inches at 50 yards. Let me show you that shooting sequence. Another thing I did was to shoot each of these different types of ammunition over the chronograph to see what kind of velocity I would get, because we're right around that transonic, supersonic, subsonic velocity of 1130 feet per second is usually for around here, and in my atmospheric conditions what supersonic is going to be, and what kind of velocity spreads I would see. Because you'll find out the further you go with rimfire ammunition, that tight velocity spread becomes more and more important, just like it does when you're shooting out to 1,000 yards with a centerfire rifle. So the SK Standard Plus had an average velocity of 1098.4. Perfect. It's just under supersonic. ST Dev was 12.8 feet per second. SK Match was 1095 feet per second average. That was within 3.4 feet per second. So what's good about that, those use the same bullet, those two types of ammo, so we can reuse the dope, the ballistic calculations between those. Standard deviation was 13.5 feet per second for the SK Match. Lapua Center X was 1085 for average velocity and 5 feet per second for ST Dev. That is really impressive for rimfire ammunition. Lapua Midas Plus, 1087.4, 6.8 feet per second ST Dev. So what's awesome about this is really I can use the same dope with all of those different types of ammunition. Here's what's totally killer about this rifle is with a suppressor, I'm just using a Silencer Co. Omega 300 here. I absolutely do not need hearing protection at all when I'm shooting this rifle with the suppressor. No ringing in the ears. You know, rimfire ammunition, a couple shots, no problem, unsuppressed. I'm going to take the suppressor off so that you can hear what it sounds like just with the bare muzzle. I don't like to do more than a few shots. I'm just really particular about preserving my hearing. I've done enough damage to it. Quite a bit louder. I know you might not be able to hear that super well on camera, but the suppressor with this Bergara B14-R, awesome combination. The muzzle is already threaded. Here's what I totally love about this. I've used this for some rock chuck cleanup around the property. I can get right in around the cabin while my wife and kids are watching TV. They don't even know what's going on. It's not going to bother them, and if they happen to be bothered by the rock chuck hunting, who's the wiser, right? So I found I absolutely love to run this gun with a suppressor. It fits in my side-by-side in the overhead gun rack. I've had several situations where I've popped it down to take care of some rock chucks and stuff like that. This is just an absolutely awesome package. And in shooting the rifle, I feel like I'm behind one of my centerfire rifles, like a PRS style rifle. The scope is absolutely awesome. In terms of dope, I did some sort of rough calculations. I'm zeroed at 50. I am up 2 mils at 100 yards. That's quite a bit. I looked at some of the ballistics table. My results are a little bit different. Not sure exactly why. At 150 yards, I'm closer to 3 mils, and that's just from some rock chuck hunting. I've taken 2 rock chucks at 145 to 155 yards with this rifle, and those were both first shot kills. So I'm really impressed with the accuracy of this rifle. When I take it down to 100 yards, I did notice that the groups open up quite a bit, which you would expect, holding somewhere around an inch at 100 yards. And to demonstrate that, what I want to do next is take the steel targets that I have from D-M Targets, Seth Gardner over at DM Targets, and we'll show some shooting at 100 yards with those steel targets. So I'm trying to gather as much data as I can, and therefore I'm going to use my Kestrel here to measure what the wind is. The crosswind here at the firing line looks like we're at about 3 miles per hour, 2 miles per hour. It's been gusting up to about 5 or so. And if I see what happens to my point of impact on the target, that's good data points for me to have with regard to what the wind drift is going to be. Here we're up at 6, 7.7, 8.4. Really tricky winds. So my strategy is going to be shoot the 100-yard target spot, see what's happening with our wind, and then try and shoot these 5 shots on the steel as quickly as possible while the conditions are roughly the same. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got 4/10 of a hold. That's 2 tick marks on this guy. See the wind pick up there a little bit. Very nice. You can see how erratic the wind is, and what I'm going to be doing is tabulating my own dope card ballistic tables based on the bullet drop that I see and the reaction I see to the wind. Then those rock chucks absolutely won't stand a chance. I absolutely love this B14-R. The carbon barrel looks awesome. It gives it awesome weight and balance characteristics, especially with the can. And when you throw a can on this rifle, we're talking about all-day shooting fun, no hearing protection required, and paired with the SK and Lapua ammo, very, very confidence-inspiring, extremely consistent shooter. This is so much fun, but it's also really, really great for training. I don't have to spend the time or the money reloading the ammunition. I don't have to spend money on the components. And I can truly focus on all of the dynamics of shooting long range without the recoil as a distraction. This paired with a 223 trainer, paired with a competition center fire gun, would be the absolutely most killer triad of all. But here's what I want to know is, what do you think? What do you think of the B14-R? What do you think of this ammunition? What do you think of this setup? Are you in the market for a trainer, a Rimfire trainer? Please drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. Don't forget, I've got that full article that you can click that first link in the video description and read. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget, I'm on Patreon, got shirts at the Ultimate Reloader store, links in the description. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.